Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Knights of the Storm on Saturday, January the 10th, 2026. Today, I'm going to be your host, Ashley Think Change Repeat. With me, I have my co-host, the lovely, beautiful, intelligent Karen Carpenter. Hi, Karen. How are you?
Good morning, Ashley. Good afternoon. Good day. Good evening. It's great to see you today. It's great to meet Renee. I'm so looking forward to this, and always nice to see Jason. And I hope everybody who is listening now or in the future is having a good day.
Thank you, Karen. And Jason Barker, the Knight of the Knights of the Storm. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. And again, I am excited to talk to Renee. Renee and I have spoke on Doc's watch-alongs, and we always have a great discussion. I love it. So yeah, happy to be here today.
Awesome. And for everybody in the audience, if you don't know, our very special guest, Mrs. Renee Devereaux, it is an honor for you to be here with us. Renee and I met through our autonomy experience, and we're able to have some really amazing conversations. And Renee has a great deal of experience, 43 years in private practice in various therapeutic modalities. She has an emphasis on authenticity, on finding your soul's purpose, on overcoming trauma. She has a very good understanding of all of these things. She's incredibly educated, and I can't wait to get into all this, but I just wanted to give a little introduction here. And I also wanted to make sure that everyone knows Renee does have a website, which is reneedevereaux.com. And the spelling is, it is RENEEDEVEREAUX.com. That's a mouthful, and it's going to be dropped in the chat. It's going to be in our notes as well, but please check out Renee's work. And we're going to get into other ways that you can touch base with her podcast work that she's done, all that good stuff. But without further ado, Renee, welcome, and thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. Yes, I met Jason. So Karen is brand new to me. Pleasure to meet you. And Ashley, well, you're special. Big hug. And big hug to everyone, really, because I'm so happy to be here. What a way to start the new year. And by the way, that, I am very sensitive and emotional to the, the intro to your Night of the Storm. That moved me. That's beautiful.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So thank you.
Let me talk about that intro to give proper credit. That is, what is her name? She's a a star on a lot of different shows, but one of my favorite show was Stargate Atlantis series. That's right. And her she actually sang that. That's why I was so impressed with it. Like, that is her voice, the actual actress. It wasn't a dub thing. So I found that very impressive when I looked it up, and I used it. So
yeah, well, it certainly moved me.
Very good. Okay. Yes, and that is Karen's favorite intro as well, and I find it very beautiful. And it reminds me of the intro to the show Outlander, based on the books. The books are great, but that's for another time. So what we are going to go ahead and get going with our verse of the week. So Jason, if you don't mind to take us through that.
Oh, wow, we had a little echo there. I had to mute myself. But anyway, we always provide context on our verse of the week. So this comes from Galatians, and this was Paul. So I'll give the context leading up to it. Paul was talking about circumcision and keeping the law. Talks about a lot of the things that we know to be like sayings in our life, right? A little leaven leavens the whole lump. Love your neighbors as yourself. But more importantly, walking by the Spirit and what keeps you from doing works of the flesh. So this kind of falls along the lines of self-improvement. And I'll go ahead and read the verse and then chime in my ideas on it. It says, verse 22, but the fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. So he's saying it's not illegal to be a good person, right? And my analysis on that is, if you're walking with the Spirit, if you're a spiritual person, if you're a Christian, and even if you're not a Christian, if you are in touch with that, some people call it a higher power. I believe in Jesus personally, but in this world, we live in this world, we're not supposed to be of it. And if we're walking with the Spirit, the fruit should be good things. But sometimes we're exposed to these things that kind of pull us away from that. And self-improving through other means, I think, complements what you get through Christ or through God or whatever. That's kind of my take on it. Was we can actively be working on improving ourselves and not just relying on all of a sudden becoming good because you found God or whatever. So I don't see anything wrong with actively working on it. That's my thoughts.
Very good. And what about you, Karen? What are your thoughts on this?
I try to lead with love. I've always tried to follow the golden rule. I was very blessed to have a father who set a wonderful example. I've often mentioned that I never heard my father raise his voice in anger the entire time I knew him. So I think that it's very important. I think that's what it's all about, is learning to love, trying to leave the world a better place, learning our lessons personally and moving forward, forgiving ourselves, forgiving one another. So I think that verse speaks to those qualities and aspirations. Of course, nobody's perfect, but we have to try, we have to keep trying to do our best. Fight the good fight.
I agree with that. And Renee, what are your thoughts on the verse of the week?
Well, I see it as inspiration to access the very best in us. And at the same time, realizing that we are in a world where there are many options. Personally, I am not in denial of the human nature of every being. And it's a matter of making a conscious choice every moment. It is not about becoming a moral automaton, a robot where you can be so rigid and let's say anything to an extreme can be detrimental to the soul's growth.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I do think that the values mentioned there are really important for us to try to keep in mind in today's day and time. This is something that we talk about on the nights all the time, is the division that has been actively sown. And sometimes I think that just small acts of us, stepping back and taking a different approach with other people, even if we don't agree with them, can be impactful. And certainly at the very least for our personal peace. You don't have to get your blood pressure raised about every single thing you don't agree with. So now thank you for the verse of the week, Jason. I think that was good. I think it was appropriate.
Can I throw one thing in there to dovetail what Karen said? Because that's real important. You said your father never really raised his voice in anger, and that made you who you are. So if we can do that with ourselves, we can keep from perpetuating those behaviors throughout generations. So, who knows if you would have, or even with the people we work around and work with, if we act right, it's going to rub off, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. So very good. Now today, we know that it's been a very crazy start politically for 2026. And of course, that is often the focus of a lot of the shows, this show and the other shows that we are involved with on our day-to-day lives. But there are a lot of other pieces about getting by in this world. And there's a lot of other areas that we maybe can nourish in ourselves to be more well-adjusted and to deal with the environment that we find ourselves. So I'm excited to have a different pace for today. And I wanted to kick it off with Renee, if you would just introduce yourself. And I know that there's so much to your story, but I want people to have an idea about your experience and how you got where you got and a little bit about your practice.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. For me, it's been about healing myself, knowing or experiencing trauma on a very deep level right from the start, learning to, let's say, reinterpret just what that meant. And I see it as a soul choice to incarnate. And I write that introduction in my book, that nothing has happened by accident, that I actually, on a soul level, chose a particular existence and a particular experience so that I would be able to contribute to others, not from a mental, intellectual, reasoning aspect, but from a feeling level, a deep emotional connection. And that is the basis of my practice, that I know what people are sharing with me or and sometimes they don't really know, but I can see their experience or what they've lived and how it has traumatized them. It's that relationship. I am human, and so are these people. And I can relate to them in a very different way. I am not a textbook, one who just went through a 6-week course in trauma resolution. No. I worked through my own, and there were definite steps in clearing that. It took me into traditional Chinese medicine, which made that connection for me about the emotions and how they're imprinted in the body and how certain organs will be debilitated by particular emotions. And as much as I love TMC, or traditional TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, I gravitated, or it pointed me towards New German medicine. And there, Dr. Hammer dissected exactly what happens when trauma hits. And this is where I brought in, the spiritual component, because everybody responds differently to the experience. I may have a particular kind of abuse, but it doesn't affect you, Ashley, the same way it impacted me. Consequently, I reinterpreted that this is my particular soul's journey. You in your body were affected in a different way. Consequently, that's your soul's journey to, let's say, deconstruct and grow through it. That was the gift that was given to me at a very early age, that somehow I had made a choice to have this experience. It wasn't about suffering. It wasn't about karma. It wasn't about anything. It was merely wanting to experience on such a deep level what being human is. It's not a mental thing. It's a feeling. It's the trauma that is, let's say, I want to say, translated into the body as not just pain, but illness. And we get the different markers. We get them at an early age. Our society wants the quick and easy fix, do surgery, do Botox, do this, whatever. I instinctively rejected that whole idea of doing something mechanical. I had a sense that if there was something that I didn't like about me, I had my soul to talk to. I needed to hear from within what this was about, or what, a particular whatever was going on with me, to explain it to me. That's my relationship. That's my spiritual journey, and something that happened because of my early trauma. And I felt, yes, being born into a Masonic family, and I've talked to that, and we can talk as much as you want about it. My grandfather was a 33rd degree Mason, and he used his daughters. And then I was the grandchild that was elected to keep that tradition going. So by the time I was 7, I had a disease that does not belong in a child. And I wanted to die. That's all I knew, because it was so horrible and I was so sick. And I have a sense that God has a maybe special love or maybe compassion for children who want to die. And consequently, a gift was delivered where I was given, I had already come in with a certain degree of wisdom that helped me bridge what was going on. And consequently, my path, I felt, was clearly aligned, clearly pointed as to where I was going to go. And I was provided the tools. I felt very alien being born into the family that I was born into. I had absolutely no connection other than with my father. My father was from El Salvador. And of course, because he had coffee money, he was a great appeal to my mother's family. So my training, or my teachers, came right then and there. My mother and my father, absolutely. And I consider, are they such great souls? I know my father is. There was no question in my mind about his magnificence and what he conveyed to me. He was a very feeling, compassionate man. Got another story there. But anyway, I just grew up with a sense of where I was going to go. And because of what had happened and the family that was there, I couldn't have any friends or any connections. I was essentially isolated, and books were my friends. They became my books, and I'm still passionately involved in collecting books. I've given so many away, and then I find myself, oh, but I need to have that. I need to rebuy. So it's always a process, because I do remember much of what I read. And then as my education unfolded, again, my grandfather's vast library led me into to read what has really been the foundation for what I sense is my life. I just had a hard time adjusting to that whole dynamic. From the very beginning, when I say, an alien in a family where you just don't belong. And of course, that was reinforced not just by my mother, but my own brother and everybody else saying, why are you so different? Well, it's a long story there. But yeah, there are definitely, different type beings on this plane. And we do choose, let's say, the particular experience. That's what I'll call it. It's a particular experience to help the advancement of my soul. That's what the journey is about. It is my soul that is the navigator of this reality. And I've known that from the very beginning. So, and I say this tongue in cheek, not always to my liking, because writing that reality of being human and having particular, let's say, wants or desires becomes a challenge. Because yes, as Karen said, and also Jason agreed, what we know internally, what we know intuitively cannot be denied. Some people try. But for me, it was like, nah. There was no kidding myself. It was always the brutal truth. And let's say, the pain of the consequences when I chose a different direction, because I did. I am human. And this is why I know the process so intimately, that we know what we know, and yet there's the seduction of quicker, easier, faster, more glamorous, instant, you name it. The ease of the addiction, let's just say, and I don't care what the addiction is, it's still an addiction. If you need a coping mechanism to cope with life, see, and whether it is a drug or sugar or peanut butter or sex, it doesn't matter. You're owned. That was like not acceptable when you are given consciousness at an early age. Oh yeah, I say, I know denial, because yes, I wanted what I wanted. I fell in love, don't we all? Yeah. And yeah, I married the man of my dreams, I thought. And like you say, God works in mysterious ways. And that wasn't to be, not forever. So the awakening and the realization that, no, there's a greater calling or there's a greater, let's say, path or something different. You had a question, Ashley, or was it Karen?
So I was just going to say, so you had from an early age, you had kind of a knowledge that you were different, that what was happening to you was not right, that you did have somebody that was important to you in your family that was supportive of you, but you had an isolation that you had dealt with. And all of these things coming together really informed your world perspective at a young age, of course, and therefore your desire to heal yourself, but heal others as well. Um, in brief summary, I just wanted to make sure that I have that correct. And then if you could tell us a little bit about how you ended up getting into the healing modalities, because it's quite a journey. I mean, studying acupuncture alone is a huge time commitment, and you are very well educated in many modalities. And I know that Karen wants to pick your brain about hypnosis and, all of these various things. So I was hoping that you could tell us a little bit about your education and the realization of having all of this stuff inform your worldview and making the choice to go down this healing path, not only for yourself, but for other people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that question. Okay, so here we are. I graduated from high school at 15. I wanted to start working as soon as I could so that I could remove myself from the environment of my family. And so I got a job at Montgomery Wards as an elevator operator. Yes, that long ago. And then I put myself through school. I got a BA or BS in accounting because I just knew I needed to make some money, and I had no real direction. I knew health and beauty were really important to me, and of course I had been dancing and so forth. So these were the paths, but yet I knew that I was probably not going to make a living dancing. And consequently, accounting seemed like the easiest way. I did that. Then I got married and divorced, wanting to make myself independent. I did not want to be working for a corporation. Absolutely. I knew that from the get-go. And I knew that I needed to get into the healing field. I thought nutrition was the first path because having been born in Guatemala and having had, well, the beginnings, again, the health issues and so forth, and then coming to the United States, my mother didn't cook, and so on. Growing up on fast food, my health was just awful. I was just so sickly and, devitalized and so forth. So I needed to do something. And then somebody said, what you're eating might have something to do with it, as I was eating a bologna sandwich on white bread. So I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. That got me started on health, nutrition. When I left my ex, I had nutrition on my mind, and getting a master's in health science was the obvious path, the obvious step. I moved to Southern California, went to school, got my master's. I was going to go to for a PhD, and then I got sick right after. The same year I got my master's, I was diagnosed with cancer. I guess I don't know if I should say that word, but yeah, that's what it was. And I was devastated because I had been doing so many good things for myself, including eating properly. But yet here it was. And intuitively, I knew why the disease was there. It was cervical. Hello, how clear is the message? I needed to clear that, and I made a pact again with my soul You show me, I will do as you show me. I will not have any conventional treatment whatsoever. And I will do where you point me. And that was the path. I went to live in Mexico for a few months because there was the Contreras Clinic there, and they helped me to recover somewhat. I came back to the States. I had established the practice, I did establish a practice again, and I wasn't doing really well. So this was a transitional period, looking for what to do. And I became a licensed esthetician. I'm a skincare person because I needed something immediate. No, it wasn't immediate. It took several months. But anyway, I was doing skincare because I could not get my foot in the door again with nutrition, not in Southern California. So it was a long trajectory, wanting to find healing, wanting to find my path. I knew it had to have health and beauty at the core. I knew that nutrition made a difference in how I looked, definitely how I felt. It wasn't the whole answer. And the thing about beauty still was there prominent because my face had absolutely collapsed with that diagnosis. So what now? Back to education. Where do I go from here? By that time, I did have my master's, and yet there's a missing component. And the same thing with my clients. That what is the missing component? What's lacking that they can't stay with the program? I've got this nutrition outline. I've got based on the biochemistry, so many other factors, but what's really missing here? Well, it was the emotional. So back to school or part-time to get counseling certification and so forth, so that I could counsel, so that I could become, have a greater understanding of the human condition. And at the same time, all right, so this is one level, and being able to also work with the spiritual component. You see, that to me was the major factor. It's your soul's journey. It's being in alignment with, and you spoke about authenticity. Oh my gosh, yeah, mind, body, soul integration. Those need to be in alignment. I need to be in agreement with what I'm doing, what I'm saying, who I'm being, so that others will trust me. How can I possibly be, let's say, suffering from an ailment if I haven't addressed it on all levels? You see, the emotional, the spiritual. So this is it. Spiritual counseling and guide. And I had the most remarkable teacher in Southern California, Peggy Bassett. I'll never forget her, because I was with her as an inspiration. I was going to become a minister. And it was based on the science of mind, Ernest Holmes' philosophy, which, resonated deep in my soul, my heart. I've already had, touched on the surface with Gurdjieff and Steiner and so on and so forth. So how she, how do you say, when you teach these people, have she mentored, or she was the pastor of this particular church in Huntington Beach? I was just so in admiration of her and what she was bringing to people, and it had to do with their essence. So everything that I brought to everywhere I go has to do with your creativity. It has to do with your very essence. Who are you really? Everything that you may be doing to earn money is a facade. It's something artificial. It's not really who you are. Let us get to that. So this is how everything evolved. It was one step at a time. It wasn't in one neat little package on my lap at 35. No, it's been a lifelong journey, and I have loved my people, my clients who have heard me, who have gravitated to my work because what I say resonates with them on a very deep level. They know that I do not lie. I do not pretend. I am, yes, I can absolutely empathize and feel their stress, their pain, their whatever, because I've been there. And because we are all one, we are creatures here wanting to elevate ourselves. And this is again, what Steiner brought to us, to our attention, along with Gurdjieff. The mystery schools, the secret philosophies that were hidden, that have been hidden for eons. And at the same time, I can see why certain knowledge was withheld. Because sometimes, when man was given free will, there is a tendency to allow the ego to run off with its own interpretation of knowledge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know we're not even finished with your educational path yet, but I think we have a really good foundation. And I do want to, I know that Karen and Jason are chomping at the bit to ask questions and add input, and it's always wonderful. So I'm going to go to Karen first and see, what questions she may have, and just see what she thinks.
Renee, I can relate so much of what you're saying. As a child, there was trauma in my family, but early as a child, I recognized that my parents were acting as a result of the trauma they carried, and I forgave them. As a small child, I understood that my parents were carrying trauma, and I forgave them. And I worked very hard to heal my family. There wasn't I'll just give an example. When I was around 18, I decided my family is going to say, I love you. I'm moving forward, because there was unconditional love, but it was never expressed in my family. So I decided I'm changing this. And I was incredibly shy, but I just decided I'm going to hug my parents when I come visit, and I'm going to tell them I love them. And it just summoned all my courage and started to do that whenever I visited from college. I'm from California, and I live near Fresno now, but I went to college at UC Santa Cruz, and my parents are raised in that area. So I did that. I started to hug, say I love you, which was incredibly difficult to break that norm in my family, but we all do it now. That was 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and it's standard practice now in my family. So I feel so in awe of myself that I had that wisdom and courage as a young person to take that risk and to do that.
Congratulations.
So I relate. Thank you. I relate to you in very many ways. My guess is we've read a lot of the same books. I took refuge in books also, always. The Lives of the Soul, and the other books by Dr. Michael Newton. You may be
Yes.
familiar with those. I love those books. I'm really curious if you do the past life regression, the hypnosis therapy, but you can talk about that if you want to later. As far as the healing goes, physically, I've had several physical issues over the years and moved away from allopathic medicine. Dr. Jerry Tennant was groundbreaking in my understanding of how the body works. And he worked with Eileen Day McCusick, who pioneered biofield tuning. So I found them many years ago, probably 10 years ago now, and started really looking into that, and German new medicine, and the way that energy, trauma, energy, thoughts and feelings, all of these things are frequencies, and they're all, we hold them. They can be suspended or trapped in the various layers of our energetic body. So it's, I mean, I agree. I know, I understand. I feel like we really have been through a lot of the same things. I ended up being a teacher because that was the immediate thing I could do. At some point, I had been through so many bird walks educationally that I was like, okay, I need to make some money. What's the best thing? The fastest way I can do that. My dad had been a teacher, and I was working as a teacher's aide, finishing up college. Okay, I'm going to be a teacher. So I ended up being an elementary school teacher with a heavy science emphasis. I love biology. So I was a teacher, but I did it for that reason. And then my dad also was studied to be a minister, a Baptist minister, but ended up being an English teacher. So I feel like we have so many things in common. Steiner is very fascinating to me. Really interesting. I discussed the eighth sphere. I feel like we're moving in toward the eighth sphere, or that's at this time in history, but most people have no understanding when I mention that. So I just wanted to tell you, I really appreciate your story, and can relate with you in so many ways.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
All righty. And Jason Barker, what do you have to add or questions?
I'll start with a comment. Let me scroll up and find it. It was, where is it? It's way up there. The chat is going wild today. Having a good time. For not wild like in a bad way, like in a good way. A lot of conversation. I'll just paraphrase it. It was like, who was it from? Four Causes to Know. It comes from him, and he was talking about, or her, I don't want to misgender, but anyway, he talked about self-healing, and he said 3 important factors. It was stress, dietary stuff, and then detoxification. And that kind of dovetails with my question. Was, I think that nutrition, or your dietary thing, I think that's probably the most important, in my opinion. I wanted your opinion on it, because if you eat right, you don't necessarily need to detox as often, right? And then eating wrong can mess with the mind as well, which could make you think differently and cause stress. So I don't know. What's your opinion on that? And also to throw this in there, you mentioned you had a book. Do you talk about this in your book about nutrition and things like that?
I do speak about my book. Yes, it is right here. And I have 2, actually. This one is the most recent one, and then I have The Ultimate Love Affair. And I think I might even speak a little more about nutrition. And yes, it is absolutely a component, but only a component. Because you see, and this is where I was when I got that diagnosis. I was eating perfectly. I was exercising. But my body said, no. And the reason was the liver. The liver was not detoxifying, even though the eating was so perfect. The thing is that my liver, in everyone, not just mine, is responsible for detoxification. And it doesn't mean just food. It has to detoxify your mental process, what it is that you're thinking, the emotions. Your liver has at least 500 functions. So eating perfectly, yes, that's a bonus. And maybe I wouldn't have survived if I hadn't been eating properly. But for me, from my understanding, is that, especially with New German medicine, is that the trauma hit a particular area in my brain that directly hit my liver. Consequently, my liver, even though it regenerates and it does, miracles, I'm still like cautious with it because, and right now, as a matter of fact, I'm been going through a sort of a liver detox cleanse. It started inadvertently, but I just took it on because I could sense that my liver was having maybe a little whatever. A lot has happened in 2025. And because I am so deeply emotional, my liver is, let's say, sensitive. So no, diet does have a lot to do with it, but not solitary. It's an important component, but don't think you can circumvent, or whatever, and not address what's there, the fundamental issue, trauma. How far back does it go? For me, it was ancient. Yes, and Karen touched on it lightly, with the families, the genetics, the past lives, all of those components do have an influence, but nothing works on its own. I think looking at the root race that we might have been the original, let's say, place where we incarnated, might be the very crucial factor that very few people want to address, because it is essential that we look at that very root. And like I say, it's not about punishment or karma or anything. It's just about realizing this was the soul's existence. This was my soul's choice. Consequently, if the predominant emotion that activates my liver is anger and resentment, then this is my spiritual journey, wanting to maybe degrade to a degree, or to somehow find that place of stability for myself, my psyche, and definitely bringing a sense of stability and helping my liver do its job without going through a major, let's say, detox, because that is the goal, that those organs do have their energy, their vitality, and they are, let's say, created to work perfectly. That is what's available in a human body when we've worked on it long enough and we have raised our vibration, consciousness, and so forth, and knowledge that, yes, perfection is available. The ego gets carried away and thinks it's going to do it by the surgeries, the Botox, or whatever, to somehow achieve perfection by making it happen. No. It's an evolutionary process. Gurdjieff said, you develop your soul, and so does Steiner, for that matter. Yeah, so that's anything else, please.
Jason, Karen, anything you want to add or ask before we kind of get back to Renee's educational process? And if anyone's wondering, the reason that I'm doing this is because I think Renee has talked about having a missing piece. This is something that I can relate to working in a healing modality, and Renee does know something about my experience and feeling like that you're trying to help people, but there is something missing. So the reason that I want to go through what she is trained in and what she studies in, because I think it's so important to her journey of how she approaches treatment now. And it also informs her worldview on healing all of these things from this multi-pronged approach. So I just wanted to, not that anyone's giving me a hard time, but I just wanted to make it clear the reason that I want to go through all of these things, because each modality that she has trained in and educated herself in is not only indicative of the commitment, because anyone who has gone back to school as an adult, whether, I mean, with a family, is incredibly difficult, but just after being out of the milieu is not easy. And she has done it so many times because she felt that all of these modalities were important on her journey for personal healing, but also to help other people. So that is why I want to have that focus. And it is all leading to the crescendo of, you know, of her entrepreneurship for 43 years, that we're getting there. But I also want to make sure that Karen and Jason have time to ask questions as well. So both of you, if you have anything you want to add here, and if not, we'll do a little bit more of the education and then we'll swing back to you.
Well, I just wanted to, I see so many parallels. As I mentioned, I looked at my diet and energetics and healing trauma for several issues. I had trigeminal neuralgia in my 40s. And then my back, I actually have, my back is fused at this point. And then I had everything. I thought, okay, I'm on this health journey. I know I've looked into all these things, biofield tuning, German new medicine, Dr. Tom Cowan's work about so the importance of water, Dr. Emoto, and so many things, so many areas of the journey. And then so I thought, okay, I need to have these mercury fillings removed. So I did my homework. I thought I found a dentist that was well qualified, and I ended up being just incredibly mercury poisoned, just horrendous. So then I had to figure out what to do about that and work my way back from that. And I had to do it with my own wisdom and my own problem solving and pathfinding, because allopathic medicine will make you worse if you're heavily metal toxic. And then you have people like the medical medium who is telling you to take things that will also make you worse. So it's so important to really do your research and listen to your heart and your gut about these things. Don't go too quickly. And that we're all different. For example, with the liver is key with detoxing, as you mentioned. And a lot of, I use the Andrew Cutler guidelines for mercury detox, which is chelation, as I'm sure you're aware. Mm-hmm. But they recommend milk thistle. Well, milk thistle, I have a horrible reaction to milk thistle, so I can't take milk thistle, but I do take other things, including tunica. So I think maybe mention the importance of methylation or individuality at some point. I just wanted to mention those things, and the importance of really being careful and mindful about what you put into your body and who you're listening to in these matters, because you can really you can sabotage yourself and end up in a much worse place.
Oh, Karen, that is such an incredibly correct point to make. People poison themselves because my friend over here did this, and wow, you should see her now. Yeah, but it's killing you. You see, there is no one thing that fits everyone. No, and this is back to you, Ashley, the education, because the biochemistry is really, really important. So there are so many factors that have to be taken into account when working with a person. And it's, to me, it is sacred medicine, because no, there isn't one general rule to make for everyone, except yeah, you really do need to take care of your body. That I can generalize. It is a precious vessel, and you do have the ability to have it be as perfect as possible. It's up to you. So, what else?
I wanted to mention it's key, and I think this is the point that you're making. Is one of the point is that we have to know our own body. We have to learn to read our body, pay attention to, really get in tune with it, really get in touch with it, because so many of us are oblivious to those things with so
Mhm.
much input from everywhere, the news cycle, and trying to make a living, dealing with children or other issues that we don't really pay attention to. How does that food make me feel? Keeping a food journal can be a really easy way to really get some good insight into what's going on with your body. So I just wanted to make that
Yeah. Oh,
point.
very definitely. And, for me, it's reading people's energy. It shows up on the body. It shows up in your face, first and foremost. And this is why I am so against any kind of artificial whatever, whether it's an injection or filler or surgery. I'm just totally against it, because those are the clues that can help you, and that will definitely help me help you. It's like, yeah, no, I want to see you. Uh, it's like nothing, just natural beauty, wrinkles, whatever's there. I want to see, because the moment you start filling them up or covering them up, these are the very clues. It's like the body is telling you something. And it starts with, yes, the eyes, the lines, where the spots, I mean, gosh, the spots, those definitely have meaning. So the education is never ending, and it is a deep exploration. Absolutely. So,
What about reading the iris? Is it iridology? What do you think of
yes.
that?
Oh, it's awesome if you can
Yeah.
find a person who actually does it. I studied with Bernard Jensen, and he taught me, and I do read the eyes. I usually use, primitive lens and light. I saw an iridologist a long time ago. I don't know what happened to him, but he was absolutely incredible. And he had, a large piece of equipment, and he did the slides, and it was quite complex. And yeah, no, I believe in all, everything showing up. Everything is there. It's us understanding. I believe, no, I don't just believe, I have a pretty good sense. The soul speaks in symbols. That's how my soul and I speak to each other. It's in symbols, and I can look at my tongue, and I can look at my eyes, and I can see if something isn't working properly, if something is amiss, and I am so in tune with my body, it is like radar. Yeah, and I can sense, if my liver is like, okay, or is it the kidneys? And the kidneys, they hold fear. And my gosh, there's been lots of fear in my life, not just as a child, but in the life that I've chosen, or my soul chose for me. Because it has not been easy. No, I would be kidding. It's been an adventure. I wouldn't do it any other way. I have loved every moment, and it has caused lots of okay. What did I need to learn with that? Or what was the message in that? I want to make sure I don't miss it, because I don't want to do that again.
Yeah. It's just so much wisdom in your experiences and the path that you have chosen. And we are going to get to that, because the entrepreneurship piece is very important. And but I wanted to check in with Jason before we get back to kind of your career path. Jason, what else do you have to say? Add questions, etc.
I just want to say, when I asked the question about nutrition, I said, to me, nutrition is the most important thing. And the answer was pretty good. And I thought about how we talk about how we poison ourselves in this show. We talk about stuff in the water, stuff in the food, stuff in the air, EMF, all these different things. And it's really hard it's a plausible deniability thing, because you can't say, oh, EMF alone is what's giving people cancer or whatever. It's a culmination of these things overlapping. So they can scientifically say this is safe and that is safe and that is safe. But what about when you're in the stew of all of it? And when you answered the question about nutrition, what do we hear all the time? Diet and exercise, diet and exercise, diet and exercise. If that don't work, take some Ozempic, so I just, it's kind of resonated with me. And the detoxing portion, Angry Tiger, who is a co-founder of this show 3.5 years ago now, is in the chat. He's still quite a member of Knights of the Storm. He doesn't come on hosting, but he's always helping. But he was talking about artichokes. So that's a way you can kind of knock out two birds with one stone. You're eating something healthy and you're helping your liver, which will help with detox. And the exercise portion, I know this from personal experience. I was a master fitness trainer in the Army. Exercise to make big muscles is different than exercising to sweat and for mobility. Light exercise, rigorous exercise, even going into a sauna. I know that's one way to detox, is by sweating out the stuff. And I got something interesting to talk to Karen about later, about something I saw on Twitter about detoxing. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you for that, because now I'm thinking of the healthy portion the same as I think of the poisoning portion, where it's health is not one thing that you do. It is a regiment of different things you have to do at once, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And that is, you touched on one of the directions that I believe Ashley wants to also go on, the education, and why for me it's been ongoing all of my life. And that recently, my main focus has been biochemistry through traditional Chinese medicine, New German medicine, new biology, you name it, but essentially biochemistry. And then in my consultations, I've always worked with a lot of men, PTSD and so forth. And then I started encountering something that was like beyond my, okay, so what's going on here? What is this that's happening? A missing link? What do I need to learn? And so I started this physics course that I am taking. And one of the books, Electromagnetism, by, what is his name? Robert E. Becker and Andrew Marino. That book is like everything you need to know about EMFs, electromagnetism, and how we are being poisoned. It isn't overt, but like you say, we're in the soup of it. So being poisoned by the water, by the food that we eat, by the EMFs, by you name it. The human body is under attack. How do we counter it? How do we overcome? Because humanity overall is not only traumatized, but is on the verge. We could easily be extinct within, I don't know. It's happened before where civilizations disappear because of the assault of, let's say, I will call it apathy and inertia. And you can look at those first two letters, so the initials of those two first letters, apathy and inertia. And that should tell you something that is going on in our planet right now, and that has been seduced by those very words, apathy and inertia, that people don't want to think, that they do not want to even read. They do not want to compose a letter. They do not want to take the time to learn how to write music or to tune in to something higher within themselves. Now it's all there, available, done for you. Apathy and inertia, big time. That is a controlling factor in the ego that wants it quick and easy, right here, right now. Entertain me, do it for me, because I've got bigger and better things to do. I'm sorry for the sarcasm in my voice, but it exists. I know younger people who just see, an older person as, beyond, it's like redemption, because you just don't even know what's going on now. Well, maybe not. And maybe that's a good thing. But the extent to which I see the seduction or the addiction to what is being made available through this technology, to me, it is rather alarming, you see. And it's where I say civilizations after civilizations have disappeared because of that, let's call it arrogance.
I had a follow-up question, Ashley, if that's okay.
Please.
Renee already kind of touched on it, but the follow-up question to the becoming healthy, and we looked at, it's multifaceted. We're being poisoned mentally as well with the blue light, the LED screens, constantly on screens all day. We learned in the Master Fitness course that the brain has a lot to do with healing, especially sleep has a lot to do with healing. And what we do on a daily basis disrupts our sleep cycles. That's why they have a nighttime mode on phones. You're supposed to cut that blue light several hours before you go to bed. Nobody does that. So, the stuff and then let's even just talk about noise pollution. I remember when I moved in with my dad. So I was a country boy living in Southern Illinois until I turned, I think 16. And my mom sent me off to live with dad because I was not the best kid in the world. And I moved into St. Charles, Missouri, right off the river. And we were literally right by the highway 70 that crosses over. And it was constant noise all night. And it drove me nuts. I couldn't sleep. But we've become accustomed to all this noise in our life, all the visual distraction. So does that not only affect your mental thing, but because of the mental, they talked about in the Master Fitness how much the brain has to do with healing. By how do we eliminate some of that so that we can get that healing function? For me, they were talking in chat and they made me think about it. And Karen was talking about it. Angry Tiger was talking about it. Some other people getting out into nature where it's quiet, maybe grounding yourself, where it's calm. How much of a factor is that in the healing process? Is I guess what I'm saying.
It's very important to spend time in nature, under sunlight, in, just out in nature. I think it's essential for health and well-being. These evildoers have a lot of people believing that you're evolving and that you're adapting, that this is the higher, let's say, the goal where humanity is headed. I say not at all. You're lying to yourself. This is the denial that, makes me a little upset, because no, that's your ego telling you that you are adapting and that you can get this technology under control. No, that is not so. You do not adapt. The body does not adapt to abuse. It survives in a very, let's say, deficient manner. The brain, yes, but look at what's happened in our society. Dementia, Alzheimer's, and not just old people. I see imbalances in younger and younger people. And they make themselves very vulnerable by the hours they're spending on their devices. It weakens your vibration. It weakens your your brain's capacity to be able to buffer what's being thrown at us. And as the studies in that book, because that's what's remarkable about the book, that the studies that what's his name, Andrew Marino did or does, is that he's able to measure certain frequencies affect certain people. It's not necessarily a high frequency that attacks everyone. No, it can sometimes be a very minute frequency or EMF that will debilitate people. So, in other words, there's mastery in that design to control humanity and to decimate it. And what I see, and I've said before, I've cried buckets over this, because what is being lost is the soul. So when Harari says that's not even available anymore, he's not completely lying, because a lot of people have lost their soul. And consequently, we have those who have disconnected from feelings and emotions. That exists. There are those who are, intellectually, intellectual giants, shall we call them? But below the neck, nothing.
Nothing.
There is
Yes.
no heart. There is no empathy. There is no compassion. So they're on their on their path, you see, to destroy the human soul. I do become agitated, because I know my soul. I know that it is, like I said before, the navigator of this existence. I know where it's been. It's allowed me to see the root of its primordial existence. And I'm in awe of what it has, let's say, experienced, the many lifetimes, the very many lives as men, as women. And here now, in this particular reality, can I bring something to the table where people will start to believe what I've been wanting to convey for the last 43 years? Because no, not everybody has even wanting to. Because I was born in a third world country, because I had a bad experience and it would never happen here. Well, here we are. And it does distress me that the selling out for the quick and easy, for the convenient, because people don't want to work, or people want whatever they want. An ego-driven society of competition rather than collaboration is, civilizations have gone down for that very reason. And again, my teachers, my favorite teachers, Gurdjieff and Steiner, they both spoke about the civilizations and how they have not survived for that very reason. We were given free will at one point, and that can be, it's a gift. And at the same time, free will given to consciousness or to a conscious being or conscious people is one thing. But when free will is given to all, and some just don't know how to master their own instincts, they're just going with what is there, then we have what we have right now, a lot of destruction and a lot of evil being perpetrated. But please, somebody's wanting to ask a question. Forgive me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, not at all, Renee. I just wanted to add to that point that I think that is why the work that you're doing is so important. And we try to do that here. Jason, Karen, our friends in the chat, the other podcasters that we are, associating with and supporting, they care about what you're talking about trying to reach the people that still do have their humanity, who are at least somewhat on a, maybe a scale aware of the control mechanism that is being weaponized against us. And this is one of the things that actually keeps me very hopeful in these troubling times, is that because exactly what you said, from the neck down, these people have nothing. They're completely devoid. And I happen to believe that that will be their downfall, because they do not understand the human condition. They do not understand what you have been through, or the idea of persevering through a lifetime of many, many difficult things and good things. They do not understand that. So that's one of the things that actually makes me hopeful. But to your point on the free will of humans, I think that it's such an interesting point, because of course, like us in the anarchy, libertarian truth space want that for people. But this is something that I think is often neglected, is the amount of control and power that the brainwashing and the attack on human health actually has on human behavior. That's something that we, I think we get it here, but it's just an interesting thing to consider in regards to, what do you do with your freedom? Well, if people have spent a lifetime being indoctrinated, and epigenetically their lineage was being indoctrinated, and then you have the introduction of all of these poisoners on our health and our mental health, then I think that you got you got what we've got now. So it's a weird time. We do have some questions that I want to get to. The first one was, how does Renee view the relation between thought and emotion? And that was from Four Causes to Know question. Four Causes to Know. How does Renee view the relation between thought and emotion?
Thought and emotion. Okay. And that's a beautiful question. Wow. Okay. The thought oftentimes is fabricated. You see, it's an idea that the thought, where did it come from? Maybe it's I should be offended by this. Why is that person attacking me? Why, it's a thought. The emotion is right here. How it landed on me. Where do I feel it? Is it my heart? Is it in my fourth chakra that I feel what you just said? Or is it strictly an intellectual process where everything, is just being directed at this part of me, and I'm rationalizing or intellectualizing? So when somebody says, it doesn't mean anything, or I forgave, or I did, is it really an intellectual rationalization? Or is the word or is the emotion really being embodied? You see, that's a huge difference. And so that's why I say I love that question, because that is something that shows up regularly. thought, yes, it has its place. But for some of us, you see, and again, here it comes to those, let's say, root races that Steiner, this is all a reference to the Akashic Records. So I'm sure you all are familiar with the Akashic Records, or is that an assumption here?
I'm not familiar with it,
I'm
Renee.
not.
I'm learning.
Okay, and you, Karen?
I know Karen will be. And you're muted, Karen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the Akashic Records are the history of our civilization, and it's let's say the spiritual information, and much of it is hidden. It is sacred because that information in the wrong hands has caused destruction previously, because the ego runs away with information and wants, in its arrogance, to do something just because I can, just because we've been given free will and because now this information is available. So that's abusive. But the Akashic Records are there, and they exist in the ethereal, in the astral. They're not in the material world. They are accessible to some, and Steiner and Gurdjieff both spoke about, and especially Steiner, he wrote extensively on the Akashic Records. And here we're looking at the root races. So when you ask me a question about thought and emotion, so for me, it's like thought, it's an idea. Emotion is more of a feeling. And again, depending on the root race, and there were three: the Atlantean race, which came from Atlantis. And if you know about that existence, that was a fact. It is not mythology. That is part of the Akashic Records. And then we have the Lemurian, and then we have the Aryan. All right, so those are three very distinct races. And for, let's say, the Atlantean, thought is more of a physical concept. It's a picture, and I've always had that ability that when I think in pictures. For a lot of people, they think, and it's a thought. It's an idea. It's something, you see, that they can work on intellectually. For me, it's a solid picture. I'm seeing it. So when I read somebody's field, I am seeing, you see, the field. It is not a concept. It is not just an idea. It is, for me, like something solid. So people are often confused, and they think they can't tell the difference between a sensation, a feeling, and an emotion. But I'm sorry if I'm going off in another tangent here. But
No, no worries.
But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because this is it's a regular argument, especially with certain cultures. And those cultures are usually of the Aryan race. The Aryan meaning the white Northern European, all that, yeah. Whereas for some, the Atlantean have more to do with romantic languages, the Southern races, European races, and so forth. So there are differences. There are cultural differences as well as racial differences in how we respond. to each other. Consequently, the conversation Jason and I had initially about relationships, it's like, wow, here we have a whole world where two people, probably coming from very distinct cultures, have expectations, unmet expectations of each other, not only because we think differently, but we've had different beliefs grounded or established in us by our ancestors. So again, the DNA, we're very complex, absolutely incredible beings. We have great power. The thing is, the power is often misinterpreted. And we think, oh, I'm just going to sit here and be and be powerful and tell everybody what to do. And it's like, duh. And so, I do laugh. I can't help it. I've been doing this a very long time, and I've been loving us humans for a very long time. And I embrace, it brings tears to my eyes because I see the innocence and the beauty in each being wanting to achieve a greater something level of existence. And so they write the affirmation and it doesn't go anywhere. And it's like, well, there's a discrepancy. There's gaps. So let's start with square one. Let's get rid of it's one step at a time. Get rid of the obvious fallacy. Let's examine some of the beliefs and where they came from. Was it trauma? More than likely. Was it your mother's trauma that you're playing out? You see, so it goes on, and it's a beautiful, beautiful existence if we can just embrace it and be grateful that we can go out in the sunshine and get grounded. So anyway, I'm getting carried away. I've loved every moment of my life, even though there's been whatever stress and pain, but I've learned so much.
Yeah, I think it is a beautiful message and a beautiful conversation. And I think that, we're getting a lot of, I definitely can't keep up with the chat today, but a lot going on over there. And I know that Karen had another question that she wanted to ask. So I'm going to go into Jason Barker mode and say, I had so much to cover today, and I don't know if we're going to have a chance to cover everything.
We can always do a part two, Ashley.
We can always do
a part two.
But because the organic conversation that comes up is so important to me, because I feel like people's questions and their interest in what you're saying and what Karen is saying and Jason is saying, the conversation was supposed to go that way. So I feel I just want to cover that. So I want Karen to ask her question, and then we do have another question from Anna in imperialism. So we're going to get to that, but go ahead, Karen.
Okay. Well, I wanted to say, first of all, I have the Invisible Rainbow and the Body Electric within eyeshot and we did do shows. I did kind of a book report on the Invisible Rainbow, and I'm very much into the dangers and consequences of EMFs. Dr. Barry Trower has some great lectures on correlating frequency, how a certain frequency can cause symptoms. And the military has known very well which frequency will cause which feeling, activate which sense. And you're talking about the AI, which I detest AI, my personal motto is guard your humanity. And I really am trying to do what I can to get the word out about the existential threat that I see in so many ways. And you were talking about AI, apathy and inertia, and I thought, well, that's AI. So we've done a lot of talking about AI and the existential threat. We've even had some debate shows where there's team humanity and team more AI favorable type of thing. So it's very much in my mind and at the forefront of my concerns. I do see it as an existential threat. The question I had, and I am familiar with the Akashic Records, yes, is you almost mentioned the New Biology Clinic. Are you familiar with the New Biology Clinic and Dr. Tom Cowan's work, the importance of water?
I am.
And my friend is the health reporter, or she does the health series for Catherine Austin Fitts Solari site, which also is affiliated with the New Biology Clinic to some degree. And I really, Dr. Tom Cowan is very interesting to me, and the work on water. So I just wondered, my question was, are you familiar with the New Biology Clinic, and are you encouraged? Are you seeing more of these types of alternative, holistic, or more natural, human-centered types of healing developing? Are we finding new options? Because we talk about often here how the healthcare system is not about health at all. It's about profit and depopulation, the omni-war against us, and that's a key contributor to that in so many ways, is the medical industrial complex. And so we talk about that a lot here. I'm sure you understand it very well. So what do you see coming in the future as far as our options to move beyond that system with things like your work or the New Biology Clinic, biofield tuning? We talked, Ashley and I were talking to an author yesterday who is also a addiction therapist, and he's done work with acupuncture also in dealing with addiction. So those are just some jumping off spots for you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Yes, I am familiar with the New Biology Clinic. It is not the same New Biology that I was introduced to years ago, because the man, Reno, Renaux, I believe. He's in Canada, or he was in Canada. I'm not sure where he is now, but he was a student also of what's the name, New German medicine, and then he devised a simpler approach, although different. And so I studied that also, because I so love the biochemistry connection of all of the body, of knowing the body on such an intimate level, and how the emotions impact it. And yes, now we have the EMFs and everything else that is attacking us. I am gratified to see that there are more people conscious, of the attack. And how do we counter it? There's a lot of opportunistic clinics also who are, and I found one in Reno, unfortunately, that was supposed to be, very holistic. And anyway, long story. But there are those who are still making a profit at the expense of what we know as holistic medicine. I've been, let's say, a pioneer for so many years, and I saw the people who I was on the stage with become something else. Because money was offered, because fame and fortune was offered, for whatever reason. I say, let us be very discerning in practices. I do know, some do work very well for some people. Not everything works for everyone. Here again, the individual biochemistry and now biophysics. It is a very individual journey where not many are looking at the root, you see, of the existence of the soul. And I believe that that is a rare place to begin. I think it must be brought into the frame, because if you don't know your soul's agenda, I'll call it that, you're grappling, you're groping in the dark. Making that connection is of vital importance, and I don't know that intellectually you can get there. I rather doubt it, you see, because again, there are all, people who are wanting to set up some kind of a quick and easy technology system, whatever, that will be an intellectual rationale to get to where I want to take you. No, I don't believe that that's, it may put you on a path, but I do not trust it. It's a system, and the body does not like systems. The body understands symbols because that is the language of the soul. Symbols, symbolic. It lets me know intuitively. I sense, I feel. It's through that we are destined to evolve. It is through your intuitional connection or intuitive connection to the soul. You're not going to get there through an intellectual rationale. It's been tried. It's been attempted. And sometimes there's an actual, if we can look at existence right now and what they've been wanting to have us believe in the, what is it, the origin of the species, that we come from monkeys. What if, look at it this way, the purpose of this new world religion or new Luciferian, whatever you want to call it, what if that purpose is actually to set us back, to set the awesome human that is available right now, that is wanting to grope at ways of figuring things out. And because it is a matter of just groping, because they have not put pieces together, and these evil powers actually succeed in having the magnificent human being regress into becoming the ape by the sheer brutality that is being demonstrated right now, where the assaults, the gross disrespect for one another, is that what's happening, that we're being thrown back? So no, maybe it's not the evolution of the species, maybe it's the devolution. That somehow, by just sitting around, playing video games, watching television, wanting to be entertained, that is the first, or maybe not the first, but maybe that's a pretty good indication of where those powers actually want to take humanity. That instead of us, of everyone here connecting to the God within us, we are being seduced into that. Yeah. And yeah, I'm sharing it with you because, that's the very reason I've cried so much. Because I see the pattern, because I see the brutality that is sprouting in the society. And when people want to, dismiss the wisdom of the ages, because what did somebody say recently to me? Something offensive. So, you see, this is where I say to you, it's a privilege being here. I'm hoping that maybe it will start people becoming more conscious and aware of everything they allowed into their field, because it is a field that, we are able to see if we allow ourselves, rather than wanting to have a structure that will figure it out. Maybe it's the soul that needs to be allowed to speak. But here we go.
Well, I think that is a really good, kind of point on that answer, Renee, because that, that's what you say, is that one of your soul's purpose is to help other people find their soul's purpose. And it's such an important piece of your, of your journey here on this earthly realm. So, I do have a couple more questions. Our friend Anna in Imperialism, she said, what is Renee's favorite way to calm stress quickly?
Breathing. Just a deep inhale all the way down to your bottoms of your feet.
Okay, very good. And I think, let's see here. Jason, do you want to cover the one that you dropped in our chat? And also, I want to give you a chance to ask Renee any questions that you may have.
Yeah, sure. So the one I dropped, I had one from 4 Causes to Know, but let me find, okay. I don't know where it is. I forgot my question. I was so enthralled and everything, but I did want to bring one thing up before we run out of any kind of time. I did want to touch on the autonomy thing. And I looked into it. I've been talking with Doc about it, and it's basically self-improvement. It's something similar my brother does. I think that alone, when it comes to mental health, the confidence and things like that, I think that plays a key role into overall mental health, which we talked about earlier, leading into physical health. I know in the military I did that. And maybe if you guys wanted to talk about, not trying to take over as host here, it's just a question I wanted to get to about what that's all about. I know kind of what it is: self-improvement, confidence, speaking skills, things like that, which can improve your life, which then can, and then turn, in my opinion, improve your mental health, reduce stress. And I don't know, I'd throw that out there.
Renee, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. And so what did I hear from you?
Oh, I just wanted to hear about the autonomy thing and how that program that you guys met through has helped you mentally, which could help you physically because of, life skills. I know, again, we had to do these classes on oral, public speaking and things like that when I went to the military. Every time you go up a rank as a leader, you have to go to school, and then part of that is to this number one, learning to be confident in social situations.
Mhm.
Number two, getting up in front of a crowd and giving a class on something. And I found those things, which, you know, if you want to talk about the program a little bit, in case people were interested in doing self-improvement, I found those things to make me more confident, less anxiety in social situations, at work. You know, I just found that to be very helpful, and not having those mental barriers in your head, I believe helps your physical health as well. So,
Yes,
yeah.
it does. It does. And I believe that it's a beautiful teaching that Richard Grove has, let's say, put together based on, let's say, the teachings of, what is his name? John Taylor Gatto. It's about education and the switching of the focus, because we spend so many years in schooling that really deadens initiative, that it deadens so many aspects of the human being. And he brings a whole different teaching to the table. It's called the Trivium, where it's based on principle and developing your personal interests and so forth. To me, personally, it wasn't the education that I was after. I signed up, I enrolled because I wanted the community. I wanted like-minded people with whom I could share and perhaps start my webinars and so forth. I already had the structure that a lot of people are introduced to through autonomy. So you see, I came in, I felt like, excuse the arrogance if it is arrogance, but nevertheless, the teaching was not new to me. I knew it on a cellular level. I knew exactly what he was talking about, and I was delighted to connect with more. And this is where, yes, Ashley and I, we had long conversations. I could see that we really resonated. I had conversation with some of the others, and I could see that, okay, so what I'm saying, what I've been teaching, isn't so foreign to the members of this community. I want in. I mean, Ashley got me there because she arranged that meeting with Richard. But it wasn't that I was originally looking for the education. I think the education that Richard offers is amazing. And I believe it helps people on it in a direction of independence. It is what should be being taught in education, in our education systems, if those people in education were sincere about having productive citizens in the world, you see. But no, we have the other, whatever, infiltrators that have come in wanting to change society, have it be in a different path. But no, what Richard brings to the table with John Taylor's behind him was true education, how to inspire a person to want to learn and develop skills, not in a, let's say, memorizing facts and figures. I mean, it's like, yeah, I happen to love history, so that could be important to me, but definitely maybe not to you, Jason, or to you, Karen. So we have our affinity to want to develop, and when those abilities or skills are dulled, what happens? A lot of children become criminals. They're easily seduced, programmed by television, by mind games, by whatever, you see. So it's been an incredible plan to dehumanize the precious human being. And consequently, I absolutely applaud and value what Richard is doing, has been doing for I don't know how many years now. I think it's about 14 or so. But yeah, I encourage what I bring to the table is who you need to become in order to be an entrepreneur and a successful one. He's teaching a lot of skills as far as success, financial success, developing skills, and so forth. For me, it's more of a spiritual journey. It's finding your soul, expressing your soul. That's a basic difference.
I was going to say, can I finish the end of this? Actually, this is something I wanted to share the website, and I wanted to say one thing because everything you just said. So I'm looking at doing this myself potentially, but critical thinking, entrepreneurial skills, communication, goal achievement. These are kind of the focuses on this. And I probably I'll add this to our description in case anyone's interested in checking this out. I mean, yourself is the best investment you can make. And I just wanted to throw this in there after what you just said, Renee, while we still had the train of thought. These are the things that the military is focusing on when people are getting out. Okay. The communications portion we get while in the military, if you make it into a leadership role, but when you get out, you have to go through this thing called, they used to call it ACAP. Now it's called SFL TAP, Soldier for Life Transition Assistance Program. And they do that. And these are the things they teach you. A lot of different classes you have to take, but the entrepreneurial one, which is called Boots to Business. And they talk about that. And I think if you're a veteran out there and you didn't take that, you can go back. I think for the rest of your life, you can go back, contact them, and you could take that class. It's led by civilians. But what I'm trying to get at is they address the problem of people having emotional problems, joblessness, feeling helpless, winding up on the streets, ended up on drugs, committing suicide. These same things that are being taught here are what the military is trying to teach to stop that problem. So it's a soul problem. And if you can get these skills, I think it's be beneficial, both mentally, for your family, for your health, everything. But I'm not trying to do an infomercial hill. I just really wanted to talk about that today because I'm kind of impressed that there's a program out there for civilians. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing about the military programs, and let me here, I do want to make this clear that the military are the prime users of the EMS and of that technology. And they have injected at least 10,000 military men with chips so that when 6G gets clicked on, there are those who are already injected and more because of the recent, let's say, alarm, which brought in certain injections.
You can say it here, Renee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can say
anyway, the shots, I hate to say that word, but anyway, they are more susceptible to the 6G that is being worked on right now that will be implemented. I don't know if it's already in some areas, but it will be a full go either by the end of this year or next. So this is where to me, it's a crime. It's so deceitful because they're leading you to think that, yes, they're going to be doing something for you, but at the same time, they've already got an implant in you. They already have the school in Colorado. And, I actually lived about 20 miles from it. I could feel the vibration. So that was one reason I left Colorado, because of the frequencies. And that school was started by Barbara Marcus Hubbard and Maurice Armstrong, or Maurice Strong. If you know who they are, well, if you don't, you probably should find out that they started at school. It's MK Ultra. So they're talking to you, seducing you, and a lot of people there in Colorado, where I was living, have this strange, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful or say anything harmful, but I could feel a different vibration in a lot of those people where I was living at the time. Consequently, that was definitely a factor for me to want to leave. Vibrations are there. And so when you hear about centers, and this was a center, it's supposed to be a healing center, and a lot of the very innocent, lovely people in that community were participants. We all make choices. They weren't about to hear me without wanting to give them a heads up. No, I am not here to convince. I am here to speak to those who are willing to listen. So my choice to leave. And so here I am with you now, giving you a heads up about what is on the agenda. They already have, let's say, the ability to project certain frequencies that will either cause you to self-destruct and or have, let's say, dangerous thoughts, not just in you, but towards others. There is another school in Utah, and I'm bringing this up because it just happened that one of the students was Nick Rainier. You know about that situation, I'm sure, don't you?
Nick Reiner?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Renee.
And so he was a student there. He and a lot of other students who do irrational and monstrous things have been students there, as well as the one in Colorado, as well as there's another one in Virginia, I believe. So these schools are around, and they're there under the guise of doing something to counter PTSD and trauma resolution. I say, beware. What do you connect to? If you're going by the intellect, I know, oh yeah, it really makes sense. The government is really trying to help us. I say, maybe not. Maybe these are like Pied Pipers wanting to draw you in, telling you that I have the way to salvation when they're really taking you in a polar opposite. That's maybe as much as I need to say.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to add that this is something that Karen says all the time, and Karen can vouch for me here, that she says, guard your humanity. And I feel like what you're saying is that you have to have your discernment, and you have to be able to distinguish between what is helpful and what is harmful.
Yes.
Which can be so challenging in this world of information warfare and everything warfare. It's really hard, but.
And I keep saying, Ashley, this is not a head trip. You cannot intellectualize yourself into the realm where you really want to connect. It's in the body. It's on a body level, it's on a feeling level. And for me, yeah, it's on a feeling level. How do I make you feel? How do I teach you, my client, my student, whoever you want to call yourself, to feel? Because I feel for you. And most people are cutting off at the neck because our society is based on intellectual capacity. How high is your IQ? How quickly can you memorize? How quickly Can you understand this equation? Well, and what happens when the person doesn't? They
Yeah,
feel pretty awful.
there's so much more, than we're thinking sometimes. And I think that your journey is illustrative of that. I do want to, I think we're going to have to do a part 2, because
Oh my, what time is it already? Oh,
we're going on 2 hours, and I think that Karen's trying to she's got stuff to do, and we've covered a ton of information. So I think maybe we can pause it here as far as kind of getting into your journey. But I do want to come back to this because I think it's important to talk about these pieces. And I think that you have a lot of wisdom to offer people. So if we could put a pin in that. I did have one more question that I saw from the chat. Does Renee think, and this is from 4 Causes to Know, does Renee think that human nature is essential ethical war ground? I may not have been reading that exactly right, but is unessential ethical war ground? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Renee?
well, there is a fight for your soul. There is definitely, again, different energies. There's the Aramonic, there is the Luciferian, there's the Soratic. All of these energies are unseen. And they're constantly throwing you energy to seduce you, and whether it is an addiction, whether it is a game, whatever it is, yeah, they're wanting to capture you, your interest. What are you going to give your authority to? Is it the lack of money? Is it the lack of romance? Where do you sell your soul? Because that's what they're after.
Yep, definitely. Very, very well said. So I wanted to ask Renee, if people want to connect with you, if they want to find you, if they want to purchase your book, if they want to attend your seminar that's going to be taking place in the spring, where shall they do that?
ReneeDevereaux.com right now, because let's see, I do have another site that is being built right now. It's Freedom Through Entrepreneurship. But right now, I do not sell the book outright unless you've worked with me, okay? And for at least 6 weeks, okay? So you can look at it, but you see, it's a book and a workbook. And unless you work with me, you're not likely to do the workbook. And what's the point of that? I am not out to sell millions of the book. I am out to have people do the work on their own. And that is where I'm really not likely to sell you the book unless you're going to be, doing the webinar. With a webinar, I will sell it, and it is included in the price of the webinar. But on its own, only if you have worked with me for at least 6 weeks, because it is profound, and I don't want it to just lay there, because you never tackle it. So that's the easiest way. And of course, you can always call me, text me, 775-434-9568. I do, but if you don't reach, and you probably won't reach me directly, I ask for either a text or to leave a message. I will call back if you leave a message and say, maybe you're not likely to get me on that first ring, because I do get a lot of spam and I get, whatever. So please do leave me a message if you're interested in speaking to me. Otherwise, ReneeDevereaux.com, and I do provide a little questionnaire so that you can book a free 15-minute intro, and we can talk, and you can decide whether I am for you or not. I'm not for everyone, I can tell you that. I do not just hold hand and let's say, make you believe your own lies. No.
Yep, gonna get some pushback.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a transformative process.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I think that is, again, that's, you have transformed many, many times in your career and the things that you've learned and the education that you have done. So I think that it's been a really good conversation. We've had a very, very busy chat today. And I just want to reiterate everybody that Renee's information, her website is going to be linked in our show description, and perhaps maybe even Jason could add it to the website or something. I don't know, not to speak for Jason, but and Renee, do you still do your podcast, or is that very occasionally, or
It's occasionally, because I'm not all that savvy with the tech, but I did have Spotify, and there is one interview that I did post on my website. It's under podcast, and there was another one that was going to be posted, but I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, it's there, and yeah, there's quite a bit of information. There's just testimonials, and yeah, I've been at it for a long time, and I love my work, and that's the privilege of a long life.
Yes, wonderful. And then I think we have a good handle. Just to reiterate that you can find her information in our show description here. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you can't find it, have any issues there. Before we go to calling out the chat, Karen, any parting thoughts for Renee?
Renee, it was just such a pleasure to meet you. You have a beautiful, authentic way about you, and I just really enjoyed meeting you and feel like we're kindred spirits in many ways. And the chat has enjoyed meeting you as well, and saying you're such a beautiful, special person. And many people are saying thank you so much for your insights and wisdom and experience. So it was just an honor.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate your saying that. I'm moved, and I'm delighted to know that the chat enjoyed the conversation, and I hope to see and hear from them if they have any questions, comments, whatever. That's what keeps me going. You see, it's always been that I'm able to help.
Yeah, you care so much about your interactions with people, and that shows.
Yeah,
Jason.
Absolutely.
Oh, Karen, did you have anything else? I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying absolutely. And I would like to say hello to everybody in the chat. And I hope that everybody has a positive week ahead. Watch your self-talk, and limit your exposure to the news cycle and to the media. Do some things that you enjoy. Get out into nature. The sun is so important. Renee has mentioned that several times. And lately, it's sometimes difficult to get that sun. So we need to take care of ourselves other ways. That was about it. It was great to see everybody today, and guard your humanity. And I love everybody. Hugs to everybody. Ashley, great job. Jason, it's always wonderful to share some time with you also.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. And thank you for your contributions today. And always, we've been on quite a few shows together lately, and it's really good. I always love it.
Yeah,
Jason,
it's been
do
fun.
you have any parting words, thoughts, any of that for Renee?
I'll just quote For Cause to Know in the chat, who provided some excellent questions today. He says, Renee resonates universal truth and love in the most exemplary way. And I would agree with that. And I would like to thank everybody that came out today to watch. We'll do a part 2. I had some stuff written down that I didn't get to, but now Ashley knows how I feel when you over prepare, right? It was funny.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
And it was an honor, Renee. Sorry, it was an honor.
Mine was definitely. I thank you so much for providing a platform where I can share some of the, let's say, wisdom of the ages, because it's, it's like I was allowed to read and learn and hold in my heart and soul what is true, and not be deceived. Not be deceived. That right there is the gold. You see,
Yes.
to not be deceived, because it's just been one lie after another, and it's always, been more than a shock to me to say, why would you fall for that? Why would you believe that? Can't you read the energy? Don't you see it? You see? So that's
yes, it seems so obvious sometimes that it's very challenging for people who can see through it when those cannot. So, and I was going to say, I think Jason was going to shout out the chat. So we're going to do that really quick before we get out of here. But I also want to just close with Renee and thank you so much for joining us today. It's very, very special, important to me. You know that. And I look forward to our next conversation. I can't wait to have you back. And Karen didn't even get to ask about hypnotic regression. Like, we've got so much we still have to cover. So we're putting pins in all these things, everybody. But thank you so much, Renee. I truly, truly appreciate it. And we can't wait to talk to you again. Jason, you want to shout? Oh, sorry, Renee.
Oh, no, my pleasure and privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. Shout them out, Jason. And then after that, we are going to wrap. So I hope that everyone has an amazing weekend. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We really, really appreciate you all. It's great to see you in the chat every week. It means a lot. We love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you.
Right on. Well, again, we always thank the people for coming out. And if you participated in chat, we see your name. So who we had on Rumble today, we had Sweets, the first one in. Sweets likes to drop the links to people that we like to watch, and we appreciate that. Ray K 333, I've never seen that name before, so thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in the future. Of course, Doc Spoiler, that's Doc. He does watch-alongs. He did drop a link in the chat. Oh, he just dropped it again in his Discord link. If you want to get in on these watch-alongs, hit that link up if you're over in Rumble, and hit up Doc, and maybe you can come in and chill out with us. It's pretty much, it's an older movie that usually has something relevant to today's times, and then he always does a pre-show, and then we watch the movie together, and then at the end we have open discussion, which is where I met Renee. So I do appreciate that, Doc. That's great work. We got Ann in the chat. What's going on, Ann? I seen her this morning over at America Unplugged. Good to see you. Denver Attaway. We're gonna have Denver on in 2 more weeks, right? I think Denver's coming on, because next week, Karen, you've got. Go ahead, Karen.
Next week. Next week is Denver. The week after that is Courtney Turner and Patrick Wood.
All right, you're right. I got that mixed up. So thanks for correcting me there. Don't have the calendar in front of me. So we had LTO, Lieutenant Oracle of Truth, in the house. What's going on? Frankie M7, what's up? Ricky, Anything is Possible podcast. And by the way, you can find these people, that sounds bad, but you can find our friends over on our website on the friends page and the schedule page as well. So Ricky is listed there. 4 causes to know. Hey, thank you for the questions, brother, sister, whatever you are. Thank you for the questions. We love the interaction with the chat. Will 2 Boxers in the house. Geesebusters. Good to see you, Geesebusters. He's a non-lethal bird remover. Great service he does there. Ronnie Omelets, what's going on? Best name on the internet. Mr. Bronx Stomper. Derek, I need to get with you offline. Email me, brother, because I have a bunch of stuff on food I didn't get to, and I think you would be a good guest to have on. Narrow Way, Narrow Gate, that's Levi. He was in there. What's going on, Levi? Skunk Hollow Rose Gardens. Go check out his channel if you want to see some birds and you want to see some plants and stuff like that. And that could be a way to kind of chill out and relax and like cool ooze or whatever they say, cool down a little bit. Who else do we have? And Imperialism, that's Anna. Hey, Anna, good to see you here. Buzzacino, that sounds like a drink that would wake me up in the morning. Hiker Emoji, what's going on, Hiker? Angry Tiger, that's the Angry Tiger's Den, co-founder of Knights of the Storm. Good to see he was in there. I know he's out in the woods right now with Bouncer the Dude Dog. No, actually, he went over to see family, didn't he? That's what he took off to do. Carlin Hanny, what's going on? Providence wins. Ferb Jr., Troubled Minds, that's Mike Strange. I love his show. It's always something interesting they're talking about. Brian Deb McCartney, that's Deb. Sometimes you might catch Brian on there, but they share an account. And then Radio Sack, what's going on? Hey, by the way, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, turn on that notification, and you can repost on Rumble. That's interesting. If you have no content on your channel whatsoever, and you want to populate it so people can come check out what you like to watch, start populating it with reposts. All you got to do is leave like a couple words in there talking about it, and boom, it populates. All right. That's all I have, Ashley. Back to you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Renee, did you have anything you wanted to add real quick before we head out of here?
I just had a question as to how can I post this on my Substack? Or can I?
This will be posted to Substack. I don't know if you can repost it, or if you want, I can get with you via email and send you the video file after I kind of shrink it down a bit. Whichever way you want to do it, hit me up.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I'll take the email when you get to it. That'd be great. I'll just repost my.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Renee. We appreciate that.
No, thank you. And it's been my pleasure, joy, privilege, all of that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I think the only thing left to say, well, first of all, this is for Levi. Tommy Kitten just made an appearance, he's been absent for a couple weeks. So I hope Levi's here. Other than that, Karen, do you have anything to say to the people?
Yes. Keep your armor tight, keep your sword sharp, and shine your light.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.